this one, I even told Tammy, I'm like, I don't know what they're trying to do because all I'm getting is the final. Do you think we should do these guys first to get them out of here?
I can do that. That's a good idea, because that'll be a 5
Totally
minutes.
up to you.
That's awesome. I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Kind of crazy.
All right, she's getting the recording going. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so we are going to start out with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Faulkner, and then an invocation led by myself.
Please repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day and for all the many blessings that we have. We're especially grateful for this great city that we live in and the opportunity we have to be here. At this time, we ask that we may have thy Spirit to be with us, to guide us and protect us in all that we do, and watch over us and be with us throughout this meeting, that we can make good decisions for the benefit of the citizens. We love thee and we ask for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, so we have Commissioner Ma and Commissioner Neal who are excused tonight. The rest of us are all here. I'm going to go ahead and read the opening meeting statement. All those attending should have signed in. I'm going to explain the process that the Planning Commission will use in making decisions and the rules that govern the agenda items or hearings. The Commission is interested in receiving public input and treating everyone fairly. In order to treat everyone fairly, it is important that everyone understand that the Planning Commission is governed by Utah state law and the Plain City zoning and subdivision regulations. These codes can be found online, which contain the criteria that the Planning Commission must follow in making its decisions. Persons making presentations or providing comments shall address the Commission from the podium or microphone and not from the audience. Persons shall state their name and address and will direct their comments to the Commission and may not directly question or interrogate other persons in the audience. The Planning Commission has adopted rules regarding outside contacts, otherwise known as ex parte communications. Commissioners are not to engage in communications outside of the public meeting regarding administrative applications. If you desire to speak to commissioners, it should be done at a regular meeting so your comments, concerns, and evidence are on the public record. So let's go ahead and disclose. Rob, did you have anything?
No.
Dustin?
No.
John?
I did get a phone call tonight from Susan Goldsberry, just with questions about this public hearing we're having tonight. I encouraged them to come and give their comments, and they're here, so thanks for coming.
Okay, I did have one, but I wrote their name down and I don't have it with me, but they were asking about the land on the S-curve on the south side. And they were interested in purchasing some land for some commercial buildings, but I will get their name and I'll bring it back next time. Okay, let's move on to public comments. So this would be public comments for anything that is not on the agenda, or if it is on the agenda but not part of a public hearing. So any public comments that are not for the public hearing, now is the time. There are? Oh, there are, okay. All right. Okay, let's move on to approval of the minutes for September 12th. I read through them and I didn't see any changes.
I just saw some spelling errors. I don't know how important they are, but anyway, the content was correct.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 12th, 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, technical review. So we did not have a technical review, but we do have one coming up on October 1st. I am not sure if I'll be able to make that, so I might be reaching out to someone to see if they can cover on that for me. And I'll send the documents out. All right, moving on to legislative items. So we are going to change the order of the agenda a little bit. We are going to do the subdivision amendment for Stony Brook first. So do we have a representative for, the first one would be Doug and Brenda Koenig. Okay, all right. So Michael and Robin Cedarquist, or Jacob and Whitney Johns.
I'm Michael Cedarquist, 2668 North, 3850 West.
Yeah, Jacob Johns, 2688 North, 38 West. Really close.
Each other's mail all the time.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I was a little bit confused. So you guys are swapping chunks of land,
Yes.
correct? So who's the one that lives on lot 10?
That should be lot 5, but that's me.
So lot 10 would be the revised after the swap of the land,
Okay.
and that would be Jacob.
And you are giving land in the back and getting land in the front?
No, I'm
No.
giving land in the front, getting land in the back, and then I'm consolidating. I have 2 parcels on my lot, so I'm combining those in the back as well. Does that make sense?
And regardless of the change, it will make, no lot will be non-conforming, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all within the limit.
There'll still be all R20 lots.
Okay.
So on lot 6, or...
Okay, hold on 1 second, before we go any farther. We don't have anything showing lot 4, 5, or 6, everything shows.
It
lot
was
9,
really
10,
confusing
11.
for us, because this
So we need to
references-
make sure we're all clear on what lot 9 shows on our new plan, what lot that is. I
Yeah.
believe that is 4,
So
the original plat,
that is
Correct.
correct. And that would be Doug, and he's over here.
because all the descriptions in the stuff that we got all describe everything using 4, 5, and 6, and everything that we received has 9, 10, and 11. So I think I deciphered it, but just to make sure everyone's.
Yeah, yeah.
And then lot 10 is
It's
lot
lot 5. Yep.
Yes. And then 11 is 6.
11 is
Okay.
So on 11, I have this, my original plot, very long arrowhead that headed north and east of my property, and it extended past the edge of his house. And so it was just awkward to try to maintain that long arrowhead. It was easier if we just kind of cut it off, and then Jacob provided me the property that was just south of his driveway. It would be easier for me to maintain all that land between his driveway and my RV pad. And then he would have the arrowhead, and it would just make both lots much more easier to maintain.
Makes sense.
Square footage, they both remain above the R20 value.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Or concerns?
I don't think so. And then you picked up additional square footage, so you combined lots that were or some adjacent parcels that were across the back, it looked like.
Correct, yep, yep.
Okay.
Myself as well as Doug and Brenda, which they'll explain a little bit.
Okay, that makes more sense too.
Yep. So yeah, just combining those 2 parcels with the lot line adjustment with Mike.
So the only thing that's really being addressed here and that's changed is just the lot line between your 2 lots, right?
Correct, and the assumption of both of those parcels into one on mine.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
Are 2 of the parcels that you had, are they split between your fence line? Like, do those, you know what I mean? Because there was 4 parcels back there. Didn't who owns lot 4, the
So Jay Christensen owns the other piece behind, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, you acquired some parcels behind yours.
Correct.
Then, is it Coing? Or is
Koenig,
it-
yeah,
Did I
Doug
pronounce
and
that
Brenda,
right?
yep.
I'm sorry, okay. Did they pick up some parcels as well with?
Correct.
At the same time you did?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Just trying to consolidate the surveyor to do it all at once.
To get it all in one whack, yeah. Okay.
Are we ready for a motion?
Is this approval or recommend?
This should be recommend. Yeah, we're recommending.
Make a motion to recommend to approve the plat amendment on Stony Brook subdivision, specifically for Cedar Quist and Johns.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, now we'll move on to the Stony Brook subdivision for
I don't think
the
we're gonna be able to-
Koenigs, who I believe just arrived. And so this, all they're doing is they're taking in a new chunk of that back lot onto your parcel.
Yes.
Do we have any questions on this one?
None from me.
Are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval for the amendment to the Stony Brook subdivision at 2668 North, 3850 West.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Actually,
2680.
that's the first one, huh?
Oh.
It's the 2689?
Yes.
2689 North, 3850 West,
Yes.
for the Coings.
Thought there was-
Can we get another second on that one, Rob?
I will second again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to the public hearing for the conditional use permit for the cluster subdivision. So let's go ahead and open up that public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for the conditional use permit for cluster subdivision at Marsh Mountain View Estates.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so before we get this going, we are going to limit the comments to 3 minutes. Tammy over here has some papers, so when you have 15 seconds left, she's gonna hold up a yellow sheet. And then when you are out of time, she's gonna hold up a red sheet. So when you see the red sheet, please finish your comments and sit back down. So let's go ahead and get started. And please, when you come up, state your name and address when you start.
Personally, Steve Diamond, 3515 West, 2200 North. I normally don't like public hearings when people come to them on my project, so I was reluctant to come to this, but this project impacts me probably more than anyone else in the city because it is directly across the street from my house. So I have 3 issues with it. One, do we need a pocket park for the toddlers? The elementary school is only 1,000 feet away and has the best playgrounds in the town. And the only time it couldn't be used is during school, and that's when all the kids are there anyway. So this park would only be used for the toddlers. So it's really a 3- and 4-year-old toddler park. It would be a destination park. They would walk there, drive there. So if the city determined that they needed another toddler park, then the question is the location of it. Where should it go? My issue with where it's proposed on the plat is 2200 is already a crazy road. I live right on it. It's not supposed to be a speed road, but it is. And as soon as they open that gate up at the end, it'll even get worse. I wouldn't want to park right on that busy road. My opinion is the park should be interior to the subdivision. If it's determined that it's needed, it should be interior to the project, and that way the impact is affected only by those who are already going to buy the homes and the lots in there. They know what they're getting, instead of impacting the people that have been for 30 years. Third thing is the cost. The developer's going to get 3 extra lots out of that. In today's market, that's $600,000 worth of value. He's going to give you an acre of ground. I would hope that if you decide to go with that, he gives you the entire playground. He's got a $50,000, $60,000 worth of equipment to buy. He's got a $40,000 restroom, $40,000 parking lot, $20,000 worth of landscaping. All of that should be included in the deal if that's the way it's approved. But I don't personally think that that's a great location for it. The elementary school is close enough. All the kids play there when it's not in school. I think there's other subdivisions further away. It should have been down in the Nielsen Home Loan down at the end of the street if we needed a pocket park. But that's my opinion. Thanks.
Second. Brian Goldsberry, 3510 West, 2350 North. Plain City resident for a long time now, and I'm proud to say that. But before I tell you why I'm against this, I want you guys on this planning commission to understand why I moved out here, and I would hope it was the same reason you moved out here, or you've been a lifetime resident. You moved out here and lived here because it's a small town feel. And this cluster subdivision does not meet a small town feel. You have 15 lots that are under the R18.5 requirement of this subdivision already ordinance in. There's 15 lots. 10 of those lots don't meet the 100-foot variance on the front. 2 of the lots have 6 sides to their property. As a property owner, I would hate that. To put 6 different fences on my lot would be ridiculous. Whoever laid out this design, and I hope I don't offend them, I would hope they were from Plain City, or not from Plain City, because if you were from Plain City, you were an idiot. Because this is not efficient, it doesn't meet requirements, and it was a terrible design. And before I sit down, all I want you guys to know is I moved out here to be in this small town feel, and I hope you remember that, because you're still here, and I know you're here for the same reason I was. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Roger Cannon, 3439 West, 2350 North. I tried to find somebody to get some questions answered, so I'm going to put these out there as more questions or statements. According to the Public City Code, developers' cul-de-sac in this plan exceeds the allowable length of a road. The 100-foot wide lot requirement is not met with some of the lots in the plan. One of the short roads that I think it does a poor job of entering the more traveled road at a right angle with a clear intersection as suggested by the city code, okay? So basically there's an angle to the road that does not meet the suggestions of the city code. It was offered up to the developer create an HOA for this open space if the city didn't want to take it or maintain it. I know there's some questions about that, but there's no place for an HOA in this factor. So I'd appreciate if you would not consider that. It would actually block people from using that area if they did that. Cluster subdivision allows for smaller lots, but also allows for the minimum yard setback to be even smaller by going 3/4 of what the requirement is according to the code. To me, this allows the homes to be a lot closer together than what they should be. And to me, the firefighters trying to get in between of them, and I would hate for us to start looking like lots down in, further south of us. It's a terrible look. They're right beside each other. I question the reasoning for entertaining 2 different subdivisions in one parcel of land. Basically, after the land was annexed into the city. I believe the reason that was done because you couldn't get the cluster subdivision and meet that 25. You couldn't go over 25, basically, lots. So he broke it up and made 2 subdivisions instead of 2 phases. I think that's the wrong way to go. So conclude, I hope you consider what I brought to your attention. Consider, please, and know that I do support the developer at an 18.5, but not as a cluster subdivision, and I also do not support that open area at all. Thank you.
Buddy Sadler, 2154 North, 3500 West. I don't think this is a very good use of cluster subdivision. I'm with Steve. I think the open space for a park with the school so close doesn't make sense. 2200 is kind of a dead-end road, so it doesn't have good access, and when we do have access, we have a speeding problem on it, I agree. I had no problem with them changing the lot size from the 20,000 to the 18.5. I think we should hold them to it, all right? Our cluster subdivisions wasn't meant for this kind of design when we put it on the books, because I helped build it. This was not the intent of this at all. And I do think his cul-de-sac looks a little bit long. I don't know if you guys have measured it. There doesn't seem to be a lot of connectivity to the other properties to the east of him. And I don't know if there's any open space there. I haven't seen the larger plan. But I would suggest that we deny the cluster subdivision. I don't think this is the correct use of the ordinance or the correct place to apply it. Thank you for your time, Commissioners.
Steve wants to come up again, he's asking. I would let him, it's up to you.
Robert Seeger, 2155 North, 3500 West. I'm on board with all the other comments from the previous residents. I'm located quite close proximity also. I was kind of against the rezone from RE20 to RE18.5, but I'm on board with these guys. I don't think that the cluster's a good option for us there. I'm not real fond of it in most areas with the trade-offs with the multi-family dwellings and stuff, but I guess there certain cases there's a need for it and a purpose for it, but I'm with them. I don't think this is a good opportunity for it, so I would hope it gets denied also. Thank you.
You can have one more minute.
I forgot I have another issue that I wasn't sure if you were all aware of. When Shauna's subdivision was built, 2200, the lineup is way out of alignment. And so it's really, my comment is not really part of this cluster, but as that subdivision moves forward, the width of that road, when it dead ends to the east against Joss Oslip's property, Craig Adams' old house, if it stays at its current alignment, he loses his entire front yard. So that house will now become non-conforming because his front porch is going to only be 15 feet off the street. So I don't know if now's the time to do something. You're going to have to look at the road widths and all that stuff there as part of this deal, because it's an issue, and they should have cured it when Shauna's subdivision was built, and they didn't. They just put it where Randy wanted to put it. And so the widths are all messed up in there. So that was my only other comment.
Yeah. And Sadlers and Seegers, yeah, okay.
I wasn't going to come up here, but Susan Goldsberry, 3510 West, 2350 North, Plain City. Like Brian says, this is our second home in Plain City. And I'm going to be really honest, one of my big concerns, especially where that open space is, when they broke the road through on our road, because when we put in the subdivision where the assisted living's going, then it totally changed the speed limit on that road. I know the speed limit hasn't changed legally, but it's an easy way for the kids to get in and out of the subdivision, and they race up and down it. Putting the road all the way through to 2200, we know we're thrilled that we'll be connected to the other subdivision, but that's going to become the new thoroughfare, and it's going to be a raceway for those kids. And then they're going to turn on 2200, and that's where the park is. And that just looks like a huge danger zone. As we look at our house and the houses around us and the houses in the subdivision we're going to be connecting with, a cluster subdivision just doesn't seem like it fits with what the two other subdivisions look like. So we're going to have this subdivision, and then a whole bunch of houses crammed into a teeny tiny amount of space. So it's just something to consider when I look at the safety of the kids. Thank you.
Oh, if there's anybody online that has a public comment, please raise your hand. I don't know how that works. Yeah. No one? Okay. All right. If that's it, I think we might be ready to close.
No, I mean, do you have this one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Make a motion to close the public hearing. That's my paper.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. All right. Joe or Mark, if you guys have comments that you want to come up and talk about, or we do have some questions for you, so. All right, so I guess question number one, do you know the length of that cul-de-sac?
I do not, but I'm pretty sure that I asked the engineer to make sure that it was compliant. And I think there was a lot of comments that this doesn't meet the requirements and stuff, but unless he's a civil engineer, I don't think he's qualified to make that a statement. For instance, the 100-foot lengths not being 100 feet. If they understood that on a cul-de-sac, you don't measure the straight distance on the front, it's from the setback, that it does meet the 100 feet things. I think there's concerns on whether or not this actually is up to code. Certainly, and when we do the subdivision application, if there's something that's not up to code, we'll make sure that it is. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but yes, we will make sure that whatever that cul-de-sac needs to be is going to be within code.
We changed that a couple years ago. Did we change it to 400 feet?
I think it can be up to 500.
Is it 500?
Steve will know.
Steve, you know.
600.
If there's a reason why.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
If there's a reason, then, yeah.
Okay.
But the code, I want to say this, the code actually says a certain feet, and it's not 500, is what you're saying.
Okay. So
It says right here,
just to be clear, what you're saying is not on public record. It's not recorded and we can't hear it. So,
And I thought that since you're taking inputs from the crowd, that you would be able to accept mine.
I thought the public hearing was over, but
hey, okay, everybody, we're done. Stop. Okay, what other questions do we have?
I have some, can I go?
Yes, please do.
Mr. Marsh, I'm not very happy with you. I think that the last time you were here, you wanted to do a cluster, and we told you it had to be 25 homes. That's what the ordinance reads. And I think you just took your little map and carved out 25 homes and then threw in a half-acre or acre park. And if you read through our ordinance, clearly not the intent of the ordinance to be handled that way. So I just feel like you're kind of taking advantage maybe of, it wasn't my comment, but someone said maybe you should split it into 2 developments so that you could do your cluster. But I just feel like you just used it all to your advantage, not thinking about the residents here in the city. So I wasn't very happy when I saw what you sent.
I think those are very interesting comments. Maybe it's better if Mark comes up and addresses that. Because our understanding is exactly the opposite of what you just said.
There's no way that the ordinance would want a little pocket of regular, the 18.5, surrounded by a cluster subdivision. It's not the intent to surround another development. So,
Okay, well, that was just what we had been, as a suggestion was made, coming from the city in that direction, so that's why.
yeah. I think if any of you, if both of you, if you lived right next to that, this is certainly not something you would want to live next to. And we all live here, so. I also agree, I think I even told you in the meeting that I was open to hear what the residents would say about a park. If their thoughts were that they wanted it, then I probably would support it, but clearly they're not supportive of it, so that's where I am too, not supporting. That's all I have.
Dustin?
So I am a little bit confused with the plat that's being submitted right now. So is there 2 subdivisions here or 1 subdivision?
We are asking for the one subdivision which is highlighted around.
Okay, so that is 1 subdivision, and what's the rest of this over here that's in the middle of it?
Right, that would be another subdivision.
A separate subdivision. So when you develop this, are you going to be coming off of 2200 with a fully improved road, then it's gonna cut into a half-improved road?
I would do
And then
all the
come back-
roads. I would do all the infrastructure at the same time.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
I don't know, that's
Without,
probably,
especially without approving one or the other, they'd have to be approved together, because we can't approve a subdivision plan with half of a road and then with another future phase coming in that's not approved.
I could
So-
put both through at the same time if that helps.
But we can't approve this subdivision as it's presented right now, because it's only showing half roads, not full roads. So I don't know how that's gonna work exactly, that's really confusing me. Also, what are your plans in the event there was a cluster subdivision for the open space?
In the event there is no subdivision, there would not be an open space.
Okay, I was just wondering if you have a plan for that, because part of the ordinance of the cluster subdivisions, you have to present what is gonna be done with the open space. How it's gonna be developed, what it's gonna look like, how it's gonna be landscaped.
With the subdivision application, yes, that's correct, but it was left in the planning committee's court to decide whether or not you wanted to take over the land and decide what to do with it. If you recall, my original proposal was to have the open space in the middle of the subdivision for the use of the residents with an HOA. The feedback we got was negative on an HOA, and I actually like the fact that you did want it, get it consolidated rather than the long skinny one that I had. But the long skinny one that I had would have been just for the HOA. The people in this development would be paying for it, and it would be used by them. But the feedback we got was this would be a great thing to have for all the residents in the vicinity, and to put it on 2200 North. Again, not my preference, this was what we understood as the feedback.
I agree with you, that was definitely the feedback that you got, that we preferred it on the street because it would make it more accessible for everyone and not just, so
And
you're
personally, I
you're
really do
correct about
like
that.
having it there. You know, I realize, you know, the people that live across from Kent's weren't happy that Kent's came in. You know,
The other question, because the procedure on here, just so you're aware, it says a preliminary plan of the cluster subdivision showing the areas within the subdivision to be permanently reserved for recreation and/or open space, and plans showing the proposed use. Improvements and method of maintenance of such areas shall be approved by the planning commission before the cluster subdivision proposal becomes allowed. So there would have to be agreements as to what you as the developer are going to do on the open space in conjunction with the city before the subdivision is allowed. So you are prepared in the event this subdivision was, with all these other things being addressed, somehow able to move forward to fund and install a park?
it depends on what the requirements are. I mean, honestly, if it was like, you know, let's put in, I think one of the commissioners wanted a pickleball court, somebody else wanted a dog run. You know, within reason, the answer is yes.
Okay. So I think I need a little bit more information as far as how this is all gonna work.
However, let me
Okay.
say one other thing. The reason I didn't bring that is because the feedback that I got was really that, and the park guy, Dave, I think somebody
Dan.
called.
Dan?
Dan? we talked for a bit, and basically, it sounded like you guys were gonna decide what was going to be on it and take over the park as a city place, not an HOA open space. So,
Yeah, it wouldn't be an HOA. We would take it over after it's all done and approved and installed. Then the city will maintain it. In most cases.
The city would own the park.
Not necessarily, no. Not according to the ordinance.
That was the impression we'd been given, is that the property would be turned over to the city and the city would maintain it. So it wouldn't be an HOA because they've had problems with the HOAs in the past.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in an HOA, but we would work together between developer and city of how the park's gonna be developed. And what it's gonna look like and
But
what
the
kind
city
of.
would maintain.
Yeah,
The city, yeah, and it would
So
be
it
deeded to
would
the
be
city
deeded to
upon,
the city.
right, it would be upon completion and then the city would maintain it. So there's no HOA that would maintain it, but we work together with you guys as far as the installation of it goes.
Okay. That was a misunderstanding. 'Cause the understanding we had was that the city wanted to own it, you know, and run it and take care of it and stuff. That you didn't want an HOA just because of the issues you had with HOAs, not, people not paying and maintenance not being done and all that kind of stuff, so.
Did I make it sound like?
Shifted gears away from that.
No, nobody wants an HOA, so we don't have to discuss that anymore.
Other question for you, coming down through 113, because nothing I have in the digital copy I have, I can't zoom in close enough, but what are these, there's, I think one's a fence coming down through like 113, 115, and 14, 105 and 106, there's two lines running through there. I think one's a fence and one's a utility. Is it a sewer?
there is an irrigation line that runs through. That gets rerouted between 112 and 113, down into the road, and then down through 105, 108, then 106, 107.
Okay, I see that, but what about right through the middle of 105?
And then in the middle of 105 is a fence.
Then what's the other one next to 105? There's two lines in there.
There's two lines. One is a fence and one is currently a ditch, an irrigation ditch.
Okay, so that is the line that's gonna move over to the cul-de-sac.
No, sorry, there's an irrigation ditch and there's an irrigation pipe.
Oh,
There is an irrigation pipe that goes from the north of my property to the very southern part, roughly in the middle of 106.
And is that above ground?
It is above ground.
Okay.
It's not way above ground, it's basically sitting on the ground and then it's been piled with dirt over it to keep it from leaking.
okay. So is that one gonna be is this?
That's what gets rerouted between 112, 113, down
Okay.
through the road, and
So just to confirm, the plat right now is showing that there's a line going through 105 and 106, and that line is essentially gonna move over to this other line that comes down through the cul-de-sac and then
correct,
Okay,
correct.
those two are the same, it's just showing the existing, or are they two separate?
That is correct, I believe. There's a couple fences in there. The one,
It shows a something W, and the only thing that's something W is a secondary water. So I didn't know if that was a pressurized
can I just show you real
irrigation.
quick on your map?
Yeah. I just can't read it, I can't tell what it is.
But there's two lines. This one here is the one that gets rerouted. This one here is just a
Fence.
fence.
Okay, so that's showing fence, and this is showing a ditch, basically, that's the existing ditch.
Right.
And then what,
And
that
then this
second
here
one.
is another fence.
Okay, and this ditch right here is what's being rerouted over here.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Anything else? Okay, Rob?
Sorry, my mic wasn't on. First thing I said was I don't think this is the right spot for a cluster subdivision. I mentioned how busy that intersection is at 36 and 22. And this is gonna send traffic that way, and I really worry about that because there's a lot of kids trying to cross the street right there. and I don't want to put this many units in it, let alone, add to it. But, I mean, and then, just same concerns that we've heard. I don't like the idea of making them smaller than the surrounding area. I just think this is the wrong place for a cluster subdivision, but, I just feel like he was under the, he has a right to submit it, and, I think that's all I had to say.
Okay. All right, I just want to give one thought in closing. If you look at the cluster subdivision and read through the purpose and intent, the very last sentence says, "It is not intended that this type of subdivision be universally applied, but only where circumstances or natural features in land make it appropriate and of a special benefit to the residents of the subdivision and surrounding area." Based on this presentation, I do not think that this meets that intent, and so I also do not support this. So, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but are we ready for a motion?
I think so.
Okay, this is a recommendation.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to deny conditional use permit for cluster subdivision for Marsh Mountain View Estates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to administrative. Brindley Acres subdivision. This is the huge packet at the back.
Thanks for giving us a big pack.
Planning Commission members, thank you.
It's very detailed.
Rick Scadden, 118 East Longman View Drive. We've been down the road with this one. We've annexed, we've rezoned, we've overlaid it, we've master developed it, and we're here now to talk about the plat approval. The plat was an Exhibit A in the Master Development Agreement. All will serve letters, all approvals. Engineering, we've got engineering comments. We've dealt with those. We've gotten comments from Bonavista Water. We're almost done with, we've answered those. We don't have their affirmative yet, but we will. We're meeting all their requirements.
And in fact, the development agreement's been signed and notarized, correct?
Yes, and recorded at the county.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if I remember right, this is the one that we looked at. Has it been a year? It's been 2 years?
2 years. That's okay. We're here now.
So have you seen the comments from, I didn't mean to
No,
take.
go ahead, please.
Have you seen the comments from the engineer from September 17th?
Yes.
And so have those comments he made, have they been addressed?
We've all addressed all of the comments and have sent them back to Mr. Jensen.
Okay,
Okay.
that was the only question I had.
Okay, so just so everybody's aware, under the new process, this is our first review. So we are not actually doing a motion tonight on this. This is a review, a chance for us to ask questions, get everything cleared up, and then we will do a final.
It's my
Correct?
understanding.
Okay. So, what other questions do we have? Dustin?
I do have just a few questions.
Sure.
So I know that there was the fire lane issue was addressed a little bit here. Are your intentions to pave that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, his comments, I was a little surprised by that because I thought it said paved on there, but maybe it did not. But our full intention is actually curb gutter. The curb will be painted red and no parking signs along there as well.
Okay.
And this will be primarily a temporary situation as we're working with Nielsen to the east, and they have purchased that property now and plan to connect to our subdivision on the east side.
So, sorry, let me cut in, Dustin. If I remember right, you are using that fire lane as the second access.
Only an egress.
Egress.
Is it gonna have a gate on it?
They fire requested to not. I'm fine to put one on it, but the fire department has requested not. Now, part of that, they've also requested a one-way sign, do not enter out on North Plains City Road, of which will be a part of the,
And that road is 20 feet.
yeah.
Okay. Did we change that after
Yes,
this
we
got,
did.
so,
Yeah, I was
Okay.
the bad child, so.
Snuck in there.
that's right. I think we changed it because of this, if I remember right.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did.
It's charged, but it's really a 1 to 2 year, and after that, what we'd really like to do is maybe put some poles out there, so it is just a walking path, but initially it will be used as an egress only, emergency, not access, but exit.
So, sorry, just to clarify, once this is no longer used, are you then going to put a gate on it, or there will never be a gate?
I would like to commit it maybe with just a pole or something that wouldn't allow a vehicle in or out.
Okay.
So that it is just a walking path.
And bikes and.
Bikes,
horses or
yes.
Because otherwise, I would imagine people are going to use that.
Yes, yeah, I suggest we could make that part of the process. That connection, we're working closely with Nielsen, their design teams are working with ours, and those utilities and streets are gonna line up there on the east side.
Because there was a little bit of discrepancy there originally, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so that's all been.
yeah,
ironed
we
out.
brought it up, that's why there was a slight change, and was real slight, but the road was moved a little bit to accommodate us working together.
Oh, okay.
That's the stub road that was addressed.
Yes.
On the
In
east side.
fact, in council and the MDA, they actually talked about me taking it out, but I did want to keep it, but they approved the MDA with stub road.
With it in there. Okay.
Because it is, as I mentioned, an exhibit in the development agreement.
Yeah.
So they were very, and they had a lot of concern about it, but we did reach a decision to approve it.
Okay. What about the secondary water part of it? Is that,
It's Pine View?
it is Pine, it's gonna be Pine View?
Yes.
You're
and-
annexing into their district over there, right?
Yes,
Are they there now?
yes.
They are, okay.
Yes, and we already have their estimates of number of water shares, and we have more than enough to meet the needs of the secondary water.
Okay, all right. I didn't see anything in there that kind of specified that, and I just,
Yeah,
for your benefit and ours, I just want to make sure
correct.
that.
It is Pine View, and like I mentioned, they have calculated the need of how many shares, and
Okay.
we're there. And there's a will serve letter from them, so,
Is there? Okay.
I believe so. I can't remember this
I s-
pack.
Oh.
There's a
I don't think I
bunch in-
saw anything for secondary.
Pine View is definitely there, and it is, we've already addressed all of
Okay.
that.
Yeah, as long as that's, because they have that new law now, so I didn't see anything in there, so I was just trying to catch that, so it
No, I
wasn't
appreciate
a
that,
culinary issue later, so
yes.
that's been addressed, okay. And then,
What's required as part of the packet that he submits, right? So we're, okay,
yeah, I just didn't see it, so I just,
yeah.
it was,
Although,
We,
just as a side note, I don't think they have to tell us how many shares they're getting, right? Because we've had issues where they don't have enough shares to cover the land,
right,
and that's not us. There's nothing we can do about that.
right.
Just as long as they have secondary provided. That's all that matters.
Bonavista will be all cranky about that when they go to get culinary if they don't have that
That is true.
stuff, so. But it sounds like that's all been addressed, so that's good. Does the street width in your subdivision match the one going into Nelson, or is it gonna neck down?
No, they're making them do a lot wider street over there. Ours are private roads. That was
That's right, they are
in the
private.
master development, they've made us privatize all utilities and streets. So and in the MDA, it specifies their responsibilities. It'll be my responsibility until the HOA is fully established and operating, then that'll all be turned to them.
Okay.
It's right here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We will service this district at the requirements.
Oh, that is Pine View Water.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Pine View, does it?
That's in our pack, that was in our pack.
Yeah, it's right in
I
here.
didn't know that was a secondary.
There's a lot of paper there.
There's a lot of paper there, yes, there is.
no Pine View heading, or,
I thought their logo, did they change their logo? Or what's the Weber box
Weber
Elder
Box.
Conservation? Maybe that's threw me off.
That's what, yeah, that's what they operate under.
Is it? Okay. And then, do you know what the density per acre is on the houses in there, by chance? That's a tough question, I know, but
Less than 5.
it is less than 5.
9.39 acres in there, and there's 41 houses. So it's 4.
Okay.
I'm a proud Weber High alum, however, I probably limited my math skills.
You and me both. And then, is there an irrigation ditch going through here right now?
It's abandoned.
It's abandoned.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, do you know the percentage of open space that you have?
It's about 17%.
17%?
And that ordinance, the way I read it, requests 15.
15, you're right, yep, okay. And then, is any of that space, it doesn't look like it, but I'm just gonna ask for the record, does any of that include like utility easement, ground, or nothing like that, right?
No.
It's just the same ground as the rest of the subdivision?
Yes.
Okay. Checked all my boxes.
There you go. Good job.
Okay.
Do you know what the open space will look like? Do you have a plan for that?
Yes. we
Looked like one of them showed like a little,
There'll be a small clubhouse,
oh, okay,
maybe about 800 square feet, and a pickleball court, and there is a walking trail around, and it will be grass.
yeah,
And trails, pickleball court, and a clubhouse.
gotcha.
And this particular development will be an HOA, correct?
Correct.
I think that's a requirement of the.
Yes.
The senior.
I think, if I remember right, yeah.
And I understand the city's relationship with HOAs, but I think we work through that.
But, you know, my parents are in the one in the city, and it's an HOA, and it's run really well, so.
I expect this, forgive me if I offend anyone, but being a restricted age community, usually those projects are more responsive
work
than
better
some of
with-
the others. Yes.
Have a lot more time to work on the.
And they also don't want a playground, so.
Yes.
Works that way.
Yeah, they don't want a playground either.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Rob?
I just wanted to be clear, because you had a lot of suggestions about the road. This does conform with what the fire department asked, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then.
And there is a letter from,
There is a
Okay.
letter in here, yeah.
Yes, okay, and then, just with the future growth, when you do connect those roads, the fire department will no longer need that?
I
Or-
apologize, I didn't catch.
I'm sorry, can you not? When you do connect to the future growth, will the fire department no longer need that road? Is that the case?
The secondary egress,
Yeah,
they would not.
okay, and so they've told you that, and I think from here, I would just suggest, going along with their suggestions. I like the idea of putting up poles and making that a walking path, when it's available, so,
Yes, I support that.
okay. Other than that, I'm good.
Shauna?
Oh, no, I have nothing,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I did say some at the first, but.
You did. Okay, process going forward, this will come back to us in 2 weeks. Maybe?
That'll be my goal.
With another round of notes from the engineer.
Oh, they went directly from my engineer to, I will pass those along to you tomorrow.
Okay, and then you might get another round of comments from
Sure.
them and so forth, and
Yeah,
then it'll come back.
There's
to us.
always a workaround with details. And everything that was on there is very doable, so it's not of great concern.
Okay.
Obviously concerned to do it right, but concerned that we're able to do it is not a big concern.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. We
Thanks.
appreciate it.
You bet.
No motion on that one, so. All right, let's move on to report from city council.
Do you have the agenda from that one? There's only 2 things, and it was easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I know they do it in like 20 minutes now.
yeah,
They're fast.
Or
And if you
I
don't
was
get
home
up
by
at
7.
6:30, you might miss it.
yeah, exactly. So it is basically the 2 things that we had at our last meeting. were brought up there, and that was really their only major agenda items, or at least motion. So there's the River Crossing Phase 3, Lot 85 issue that we had with Mr. Favero and all that kind of stuff. That was addressed again at the city council meeting, and I think everything's been addressed that way.
Are they
So
gonna vacate, or they just?
They're gonna vacate.
Okay.
Yep. They're gonna vacate, so they agreed to vacate, and that's approved. And then the Hunters Run subdivision amendment was also approved.
It's a good thing we give them things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than, you know, the warrant register and the business licenses and things of that nature, nothing else was really addressed, so.
Okay.
That was about it.
Thank you.
They talked about the, I just see Rob's note on here, so I'm gonna bring it up, but, the Colin Ray concert, they saved a little money in this year, and so they're expecting to make it for next year, so. There was some discussion about the cost of that, but I think everybody was happy with it. Looks like it's gonna move forward, so.
You're saying Colin Ray for the 4th?
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be good. It'll be fun.
Okay, well, thank you. Next time is my turn, so I will be there. Okay, let's move on to commissioner comments. Let's start with Rob.
Can you come back to me?
Yes, Destin?
I don't really have any comments other than, I don't know if I really specified it, but through my process of the cluster subdivision, but definitely not in favor of that proposal, so. Had a lot of questions and things to bring up with that, but that's a tough deal right there, so.
Okay.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Shauna?
So just to piggyback on Dustin there, I think it's important to state that cluster subdivisions are an option for our city because they can be a good thing. It wasn't the right spot for it, but it doesn't mean that they're a bad option. So just keeping that in mind going forward.
I don't think we've ever done one.
I don't think so
in Plain
either.
City yet.
But to be, I know we've talked about it before, we get a lot of people saying that we need more parks in the city. Probably a little bit bigger one than that one was being proposed, but I still like the idea of smaller and bigger lots mixed. I think it's a good way to not make people in small lots feel excluded. And so I like the idea of it, I just don't think it was the right spot, so. And then my only other comment is just praying that 3600 West is moving forward. I think there's a bid back, bid accepted, I don't know. Sounded like last time that's what Dan said, so.
We're waiting for I saw that some of those houses are being built on the north side of 2200. We're waiting for all of those to be done, right?
Why? They've already dug up the road.
Oh, are they done digging up?
Yeah, they're digging up the road. They're done digging, putting the utilities in for Robson Farms. And, yeah, we're not, that's all completed, but they're gonna, cause they'll probably end up starting over there on Kent's side, the north side. But, that is actually, we have a meeting next month on the 5th, I do believe, of October, to sit down with UDOT. And, but yeah, it is definitely moving forward, and they actually had dates for us on starting, and nice timeline already set up. So to have it completed, started and completed majority of it, probably by, I think it was said November of next year. So.
A completion, you said?
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. Long over.
A lot of people will like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Rob?
Yeah, sorry, I just kind of spaced on what I was gonna talk about, so must not have been too important.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I also have none. So let's go ahead and adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did Destin do that one?
Take your pick.
It's Rob's.
Rob seconded that.
That irrigation ditch is my irrigation ditch, and it already doesn't flow right. And when you move it and start making all those bends, we'll insist on having a water hydrologist
Recording stop.